It was absolutely beautiful. So we're going to grab another page of Marines here. We're going to grab another half page of banelings. We're going to send them, oops, we're going to send the Marines there. We're going to send the banelings over here. Now, second step is, sometimes we do need to split our Marines up. So we're going to have to practice splitting the Marines, because you'll get surprised sometimes by banelings, or you'll be in a corner and you need to actually manually split them. You don't have anywhere to run away with the fancy patrol key. So we're going to have to break this down like we practiced on our episode number 3, where first thing we do is we break down the actions necessary, and then we're going to figure out the tempo that we need to practice at, and then we're going to do it. Then we're just going to practice. So first thing we need to do is realize that when we split, we're going to be splitting groups. We want to take essentially half the Marines, split them. Take half that group, take half that group, take half this group, take half this group. And we're just going to keep splitting each group in half until we have a fairly nice split. I'm doing it kind of slow here for you. And see, we have little groups of 2 Marines, 3 Marines, and we can just keep cutting each little group in half until we have what's essentially a perfect split. Just like that. We'll need to do that significantly faster, obviously. And the banelings are going to get there before we can do something that's that beautiful. So let's break it down even more. Let's split it into 3s. Let's split it into 3, split it into 3, split it into 3, split them into 3, split into 3. Oops, I sent those guys the wrong way, but that's a little bit easier. We can split it into 4s. We can go 1, 2, 3, 4. But that depends on how many Marines you have. For this group of Marines, I think it seems reasonable just split in 2 every time. If you have 2 pages of Marines, splitting into 4s is going to make more sense. So we need to figure out a tempo, because we're going to need to practice a split, 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 split. We're just going to have to keep practicing our splits until we can do something that seems reasonable. So how do we figure out the tempo? I'm going to take my fancy little metronome here. My camera is not actually turning on. Hey, fancy metronome camera. And we're going to go to tap tempo. And let's think, what is the tempo that we're going to need to figure out here? And the tempo is going to be how fast the Marines die. We're going to send the banelings into the Marines, just like we did with the first group of guys. And then we're going to just listen to the boom, 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 And every time one of those guys, the banelings explode and guys die, I'm going to hit the tap tempo button. So bow, 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 bow. Oops, wrong button. Bow, 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 bow. And then that's the tempo that we need to split at. That's essentially the speed that banelings are going to be exploding on our guys. So I'm going to grab these banelings, and I'm just going to attack move. I'm going to have my tap tempo button ready, and I'm going to go back to the game for you. And then we're going to listen while I tap tempo. That looks pretty good. I got on pretty much all the explodes. We see that we didn't get the most efficient baneling kill, but that's not a big deal. I'm going to grab more Marines here, grab more banelings, and then we're going to go look and see what our tempo was. Oh. See, my hotkey for my camera is totally not working. Hi again, there it is. We're going to see here our tempo actually turned out to be 147 for this. So let's listen to that. Dun, 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 dun. That's about the speed that, I'm going to go ahead and round it down to 145. That's about the speed that we're going to need to split our Marines. So first thing we want to do is we want to slow it down, because we want to do this as slowly as we can while I throw my metronome at my keyboard. We're going to do this as slowly as we can while doing it perfectly. So I'm going to set this all the way down to, let's go to, that's 75. 75 seems good. I'm going to turn the metronome off for a second. And let's keep in mind that that's beats per minute, which is going to correlate perfectly to actions per minute. 175 actions per minute. If you don't recall from the episode where we did Zerglings against Zealots, this is actually, splitting your Marines is less APM than Zerglings versus Zealots. And on top of that, if you think about it, you don't actually have to split all your Marines like this. You don't have to do a constant action. All you have to do is split away the Marines that banelings are going towards those Marines. You don't actually grab every single Marine. You only grab Marines where there's banelings going towards them. If you split a group down here and the banelings are going this way, you don't touch these guys. You just leave them alone. You just grab the guys that the banelings are going towards. So we're going to go ahead and go in game, and we're going to start splitting our Marines. I'm going to turn my camera off here. Turn the metronome off. Hopefully you can hear. Pop, pop, pop. And then we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to split in twos. Bump, 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 bump. See? Just like that. And we do that a couple times. We're just going to keep doing that. And we're going to up the tempo, and then we can keep going. And now the thing to realize is that you're going to reach a point where it's going to be, hey, the Marines don't even move fast enough for me to split in twos at 175. Because if I go back all the way, 145, I'm sorry. Back down. If we go back down to 145, you'll notice that it's impossible to split your Marines that fast. Because they don't move fast enough. Actually, it's pretty close. You might not even be able to think fast enough until you practice it. So that's super easy. We're just going to practice like that. I'm not going to be able to demonstrate for you because for an optimal split to be demonstrated, I would actually have to have somebody controlling these banelings in an intelligent manner. And I don't have anybody right now. Everybody I know is asleep. So let's look at one more thing before we head off. And we're going to do our patrol pre-split thing that we like to do here that I just showed you. And now we'll notice that for pre-split, splitting our Marines even better is actually easy because all we have to do is box, 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 move, box, move. And our half split is suddenly with, that was like 8 maybe splits, is significantly improved. Significantly, significantly, significantly improved. So, just practice that. Practice, 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 practice. I'm not a Terran player, so I have really no reason to be practicing this Marine split. However, on another episode, I will be showing how to do your banelings, and I will be practicing that on the episode. Before we go, I want to talk about one last thing, and that's how we do the actions for our split. And this is something to keep in mind. We'll notice that you box, and then you click. You box, and then you click. And something to keep in mind is we want to keep our actions as efficient as possible. And I know I was doing this wrong when I was demonstrating because, like I said, I don't play Terran. I actually haven't practiced this even though I know how to do it. You want to box in the direction that you're going to move, and then you're going to click. Box in the direction you're going to move, and then you're going to click. Box in the direction you move, you're going to click. See, like this. The mouse is always going in the same direction that you're clicking. We're just going to keep swiping our mouse. We want to keep our mouse movements as clean as possible. So if I'm going to send my first group of Marines up here, I'm going to start my mouse down here. I'm going to box in this direction, and my mouse ends where I click. Bam. So I let go of the mouse button, and then I click the other one. Let go of the mouse button, click the other one. And we're just going to swipe. See? Swipe. 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 Actually, you saw I went down, and then I went up. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. Swipe, swipe. Just keep swiping. And that's something that you're going to have to practice the tempo again. I'm actually really bad at it. I mean, I'm not the most fantastic person in the world at a lot of these things that I'm showing you because it requires practice. And I don't really have any reason for practicing this. However, there will become a time when we get to stuff like Baneling Micro, and we get stuff like Blink Stalkers, things that I do use because I play Zerg and Protoss usually, where it's going to matter, and I'm going to have to get better at this. And I'm going to get better with you, the viewer, so that'll be fantastic. We'll also have that neighbor kid that I was talking about. His name's Christian, and we're going to have him come on, and he plays Terran. He's very new to the game. He's like below bronze level currently, and we're going to teach him stuff. We might actually teach him how to do the Marine split. So, let's see if I can get my camera on. Ha! The camera's finally working again. Hi. I like waving to the camera if you haven't noticed. On DVG episode number 5, I have no clue what we're going to be doing, but it'll probably be related to macro. We've done a couple episodes on micro, and micro is relatively useless if you don't have the units to move around. So I think it'd be worthwhile to do a couple episodes on your macro skills. Maybe we'll do something with Zerg. People have a lot of trouble with their queen injects and timing that. Maybe we'll do something with supply depots with Terran. A lot of people have trouble with their supply depots. Or Protoss, using your pylons, using warp gates. Protoss players who are new to the game or in lower leagues absolutely hate warp gates because you have to move your screen around and you have to do this and you have to go back to the battle and then you're here and here and you're like doing a little dance, you know, get down tonight, all that stuff. So I will see you on Discount at Vespine Gas. I don't even know the name of my own show. On Discount Vespine Gas episode 5, and I hope you enjoyed episode 4, and I hope you will practice. I hope you will use a metronome or you'll use something similar if you have an iPhone or an iPad or iDevice or an Android phone or some really shitty tablet made by a company that's not Apple. You can buy a metronome for those and use it, or you can use anything. You can use a timer, anything. You can just have some annoying little kid in your house just knock on the wall at a specific rate. I'm sure they would love to do that. Practice, 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 practice. I'm Admiral Bumblebee. I will see you on episode 5.